right, it is 6:34. We're going to go ahead and open the regular meeting of the McGregor City Council. It is August 14th, and we're going to go ahead and start off with our Pledge of Allegiance. If you would please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do any of the new ones in, y'all want to speak? No?
Do I need to say it in Spanish?
Okay, under public comments, we had one public sign up. Mr. Davis, would you like to speak on anything in particular, or would you just like to get up and speak in general?
I just wanted to be able to ask a question perhaps during the meeting sometime. I wasn't sure the protocol.
Fantastic, thank you, sir. We'll move on to the consent agenda. First item is letter A, which is consider approving minutes of council meeting held on July 8th, 15th, and 29th, and August 1st, 2024. Those minutes were included in your packets. I assume everybody had a chance to look them over and make sure they're accurate.
Do you know if they wanted to turn or you want one?
All at once.
Unless you have something that needs changed.
I'll make a motion that we approve the city council meeting minutes for the 8th, the 15th, 29th of July, and 12th.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from July 8th, 15th, 29th, and August 1st, 2024. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Okay, after the minutes, we're going to go ahead and go just a little bit out of order. Sorry, Brian. And we're going to jump to agenda item 19, which is discussion and possible action regarding a proclamation of the City of McGregor recognizing the 50th anniversary of the Waco Metropolitan Planning Organization. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Mukesh Kumar. I'm the director of Waco Metropolitan Planning Organization, and it has been an honor to serve for the Waco Metropolitan Planning or Waco MPO. But most importantly, I wanted to point out that from the City of McGregor, we have received support for all the planning work we do. When I arrived here, Kevin served on the policy board, and now Brian serves on it. But I'll be remiss if I did not mention that previous council member, Frank Leos, he was very instrumental in shaping what the MPO actually became much before I came here. I did not have a lot of chance to interact with him because of his health since then, but everything I've heard that for the last 15 to 20 years, he single-handedly shaped where the MPO was going. And so we have been very fortunate to have received your support throughout. We have a wonderful staff. Today, Wednesday, they're all very busy and tired, so I told them to please go home. And but we are here to support you, the work you do. And in the last just couple of months, two things that have occurred, which we have been very pleased with. One is we developed a comprehensive safety action plan, and with help from Brian, we were able to identify several projects throughout City of McGregor, which hopefully we can help find funding for several of those projects. But we are also in the process of completing our long-range transportation plan for 2050, for which we will start holding the public meetings. We expect to see all of you at least one of those public meetings. The nearest one we will have will be in City of Hewitt, but we have 5 of them. Please come to at least one of them so that we can not only get your input, but we can brag about how wonderful projects are that are going to be included in the 2050. And so we're honored. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I would like to add that there are several projects on that long-range plan that will impact McGregor directly. And you Brian's got a copy of it, and you can look it over, and you probably should go to these meetings, because what happens at these meetings has more to do with getting that funding than you think. Rakesh has come in at about the same time the MPO is going to be transitioning, is that a good word?
Yes.
And he's got a lot to do in order to get that set up to be done. And the MPO is going to become more important to you than it has been in the past. That's why Brian's on it, because he'll work harder.
So, all right. At this time, I would entertain a motion, if anybody has one for me.
I recommend that, or I make a motion that we approve the proclamation of the city of McGregor as contained in our packets, to be signed by Mayor Lilly.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to award the proclamation of the city of McGregor recognizing the 50th anniversary of the Waco Metropolitan Planning Organization. Is there any further discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion passes. All right, we're going to get back on track now. Thank you so much for coming out. All right, Brian, agenda item number 2. We're going to hold a public hearing regarding final replat for lots 46A and 48A, Block 5 of the Joseph Hale Edition, also known as 509 Poland Street, McGregor, Texas.
Good evening, council. This is a request for a replat for this lot on 509 Pullen Street. There are 3 lots. They are 50 by 120. They're attempting to replat those into 2 lots. That will be 75 by 120. The zoning over there is MH, which is a manufactured home. It does require 7,500 square foot minimum to build or to put a mobile home on. Water and sewer available in the street in front of the property. Did receive 1 direct inquiry, just asking what the notice was exactly for, and then 3 return mail undeliverable from this. Recommended approval by planning and zoning. The issue with this tonight is, in my original notice, I published that the city council meeting was on Monday instead of today's date. Because it is a replat, we have a shot clock that's working. So if you take no action, it's approved by default, or we could request the property owner to let us revisit it again next month. Being that it was recommended for approval by planning and zoning, if you don't act on it, then you approve it by default. So that would be y'all's determination as to what you want me to do.
All right, with that being presented to us, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing at 6:42. Is there anybody here to speak on that replat?
Well, the owner's right here, so he's the one. We're trying to divide that into 2 lots, so we're just coming to see if it's gonna get approved or denied, so he can build a house on it.
Recommended by P&Z?
It was recommended for approval by P&Z.
Okay, so if at this point in time we decide to take no action,
Well, I mean, you can't take any action, but if you direct me to ask them to extend a 30-day shot clock on it, we can do that. But if y'all don't take any action, then at the end of the 30 days, it's approved anyway.
right, so if we decide to take no action,
Correct.
it's approved by default.
Right.
All right. All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:43 and move on to agenda item number 3, discussion and possible action.
I'm not understanding what was just done.
What's
We
that?
haven't done, we haven't done anything yet, we just had a public hearing. We're moving on to action
Okay.
next. Okay, so agenda item number 3 is discussion and possible action regarding the final replat for lots 46A and 48A, Block 5 of the Joseph Hale Edition, also known as 509 Poland Street, McGregor, Texas. All right, now, during this discussion and possible action phase, let Brian have it. Ask any questions that you want.
I got one there. Okay, so So they're trying to make 2 lots out of this, or, I mean, make it into 1 lot, or what? I'm not.
Yeah, can you
if they
dim it a
replat it.
little bit? Yeah,
Was it 46 and 48?
right, the original boundary lines are these smaller squares, so you have this one, and this one, so they have 3 lots that they've acquired, and they're attempting to replat those 3 lots into the darker line, the 2 bigger lots here. So those are traditionally 6,000 square foot lots, but that zoning requires 7,500 square feet to build in, so
And
they'll-
those, most of those lots are 50 by 120.
right, yeah, so they're too small to put anything on with just a little one. So you really have to acquire a lot and a half, which is what they're attempting to show here, to be able to build on these. So they're making 3 lots that are really not buildable as zoned, buildable by making them 2 lots.
So they're taking 3 lots and making them into 2.
That's correct.
Those 2 lots,
Yes, sir.
one of the lots in half, and making them 2 big lots,
Yes, sir.
75 by.
75 by 120, yes, sir.
So once they do that, what exactly would they be able to build on Pullins?
He's indicated that he wants to build a home on one of the lots.
Brian, that is in the overlay district, isn't it?
It's in the mobile home district, that's correct.
You go from Rogers back.
What's-
From
what's-
Rogers back,
Yes, sir.
going back to Johnson.
Right, if y'all recall, this western block face of Rogers was mobile home, and y'all rezoned that to be R6 zoning, so the eastern block face of Rogers is where your mobile home zoning starts over to Johnson Street.
And where exactly, is that, those 3 lots at, that on, is it 40?
Pull-in, this is 509.
509. Is that coming back towards 7th Street or going the other way?
It's closer to 7th. I think actually there's between 5th and where 6th Street would be. 6th Street doesn't go all the way
5th and
through.
6th.
Yeah, 5th. Yeah, you can't really see that little red marker, but it's right there. 7th Street is right here, so that's there.
It's about a block north of 7th, block and a half.
About a block and a half.
From 7th Street?
Yes, sir. So some duplexes, I think, that are being built over there as well, so it's about a block north of where those duplexes are being built.
And it's on the, if you're coming off of 7th, it's on the, be on the left-hand side.
Mm-hmm. If
Those
you're
lots would be on
going,
the
if you're
left-hand
going,
side.
the duplexes are on the right, this is on the left.
Yeah.
Yes,
if
sir.
you come off of 7th.
Yes, sir.
I think I kind of know it.
Are these currently empty lots?
I believe so. There's nothing on them.
He's staying on this bottom one.
Right here.
He has a mobile home right there.
Okay.
So he wants to build up here so he can knock down that mobile home.
Okay,
And he
gotcha.
wants to move into the new home.
Thank you.
Is that where, that you got most of that gravel and dirt piled in there?
Mhm.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions? Okay, so let me get this straight in my head once again. We can table this until next month. Or we can go ahead and vote to take no action, which will approve this by default.
Either one of those would approve it by default unless they ask us to extend it, which I don't think they want to do.
All right. So we have all the information in front of us. I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion regarding the final replat of lots 46A and 46A and 48A, Block 5 of the Joseph Hale addition, also known as 509 Fulton Street, McGregor, Texas. We accept it.
Action.
We take no action on it.
We take no action on it.
All right. So we have,
So does it mean you just don't need a motion?
No.
Or do we need a motion?
Yes.
Yeah, we have to. I second that.
We could just say no
So,
She can say no.
what would the,
All right, then we will take no action on that. We will not need a motion in a second. We will just take no action. All right, moving on to,
that's what
I'm sorry, Andrew, please.
that's what I'm asking, cause you made a motion.
Right,
So-
and it wasn't required.
Yeah, cause you didn't even get a second, so I wouldn't understand how you, if you didn't take no action on it passed.
Right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct.
Be sure and tell your Texas legislature, thank you.
All right, moving on to agenda item number 4. Hold a public hearing on ordinance O-11-2024. An ordinance of the city of McGregor, Texas, amending Appendix C, Article 5, requiring garages within residential zonings located within the city limits of the city of McGregor. Ryan, the floor is yours.
This ordinance is a proposal to amend our construction requirements for new homes, single-family homes being built in the city limits of McGregor. Size and the zoning are the determining factors. One-car garage would be required in R6 or R7.2, or if the home is less than 1,500 square foot. If the home is 1,500 square foot or larger, or it resides in R10 or R20, would require a 2-car garage with the dimensions for the garage being in the ordinance. Did not receive any comments back on this. Again, it does not include multifamily, medium density, duplexes, townhomes. This is just single-family home construction in McGregor.
All right, with that being presented, we will go ahead and open a public hearing at 6:51. Is there anybody that would like to speak on that? Seeing nobody jump up, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:51. And that'll take us to agenda item number 5, discussion and possible action regarding ordinance O-11-2024, an ordinance of the city of McGregor, Texas, amending Appendix C, Article 5, requiring garages within residential zonings located within the city limits of the city of McGregor. Does anybody have anything for Brian on this?
make a motion that we accept, the. Yeah, I'm looking at. Okay. Amending Appendix C, Article 5 regarding garages within residential zoning location within the city limits of the city of McGregor as recommended by the zoning committee.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance O-11-2024, an ordinance of the city of McGregor, Texas, amending Appendix C, Article 5, requiring garages within residential zonings located within the city limits of the city of McGregor. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, so is this where that, like a lot of the houses that, some of those, small single-family homes been built without garages?
Mhm.
That's basically what this is? Because there's several of them, a bunch of them that's
This actually-
smaller houses, and don't have no garages, just a.
If it's an existing home, they don't have to build one. This is for a new
No,
construction.
that's for
Yeah.
the new one that's being built without the garages.
If they've already received a permit before, today, basically, then they can continue building it as is. But if somebody was to come in tomorrow and y'all pass this, then the requirement would be a garage in their construction plans.
And this could be just a single-car garage.
If it fits the house size, yes, sir.
Yeah.
The zoning or the house size would determine what they need.
Can you refresh my memory on the zoning for R20 and R10?
It was 10,000 square foot or 20,000 square foot. We created the 20,000 square foot when the previous project came that was trying to do half acre or larger lots. So that's where that came from. But we already had the 10, the 7, and the 6 existing.
All right, is there any further discussion, any more questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? That motion carries as well. All right, we're gonna move on to agenda item number 6, hold a public hearing on ordinance O-12-2024. An ordinance of the City of McGregor, Texas, amending section 2.3 of the zoning ordinances of the City of McGregor relating to smoking and vape shops. Brian, the floor is yours.
This is a proposed amendment to require specific use permit for these types of establishments in neighborhood commercial, general commercial, and central business district zonings. Right now, we don't have anything specific for these. They've just been categorized as general retail. This would single those types of businesses out and require a specific use permit for them, which means they would have to go to planning and zoning and then come to council for approval to be able to open up said establishment. So this was recommended for approval by planning and zoning.
All right, with that being said, we'll go ahead and open a public hearing at 6:55. Is there anybody that would like to speak on that? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:55.
I do have a question, and I'll redirect it to Brian. If an establishment comes forward that's directed to the planning board, does that mean there's gonna be criteria around the establishment of a new facility?
Really, the state statute allows that for a specific use permit. The city and its leadership can determine whether or not they want something for the quote health and safety of the community. So it's quite subjective, so someone would have to argue a valid case as to why they would want one. What really spurred this is some information that I received from local law enforcement about some of our existing establishments, and then also that we were already, there was an inquiry already for another one, and we didn't feel like there needed to be 4 vape shops in a community of 6,000 people.
It has a lot to do with saturation. We didn't have any, and then in a year we had 3.
Yep.
And I mean, it's a saturated business, and you only need so much.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next agenda item. Or did? 6:55. Open
Yes,
and-
open it for app.
She's behind.
All right, item 7 is discussion and possible action regarding ordinance O-12-2024, an ordinance of the City of McGregor, Texas, amending section 2.3 of the zoning ordinances of the City of McGregor, Texas, relating to smoking and vape shops. Now, if we'd like to continue that discussion, let's please
So
do.
Like on those, basically now, we passed this ordinance, then it, like I said, it comes to the council for approving that or not. The way it is now, in that zoning or whatever, they can just put it, they are going and just putting in
Yes, sir.
Smoke shop, those smoke shops. So now, what I'm saying, even though if it's approved through the zoning thing, that still don't mean the council have to approve it.
Right. Y'all can have a difference of opinion on
Yeah, that's what I'm
those.
saying.
That's right.
You know, maybe, hope that we're more in line with, the zoning and whatever, but I'm saying, because if that brought to the council and, enough citizens stuff to come out and really have which I would hope they would go to the meeting
Mm-hmm.
and express that without coming to the council, then it may not even, come from the zoning.
Yeah.
Where it wouldn't even have to come before the board, the council.
Right.
If there's enough people in objection of it or showing why they feel like it wouldn't be a good thing to have that.
Yeah, if it goes to planning and zoning and they recommend not approving it, I still have to present it to y'all as part of the process.
Yeah, I understand
But-
that, but what I was saying, where, what I'm saying, it wouldn't be where that they would already have a reason as to why they turn it down.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what I'm saying.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Brian, I have a question about the table that you have here. Just what does NC, GC, and CBD stand for?
That's neighborhood commercial, general commercial, or central business district.
Okay. So those would be the areas that they would notionally be.
Those would be the only ones that they
Applying
would
to-
be able to get a specific use permit in. None of the other zonings would be allowable at all.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, do we have any more questions? All right, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion we approve ordinance 0-12-2024.
A second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for approval of ordinance O-12-2024. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. On to number 8, hold public hearing on ordinance O-13-2024, an ordinance of the City of McGregor, Texas, changing zoning classification for certain property located within the city limits of the City of McGregor to neighborhood commercial. Brian, would you present that to us, please?
Yes, sir. On this one, again, we do have to re-notify, so no action can be taken on it, but we can still hear public comment on it. This proposal includes the area north of North 3rd Street, along a boundary that was originally platted as North 4th Street, but is basically an alley for all intents and purposes with some utilities, from North Tyler to North Monroe. And we also, in your packet, you should have the meets and bounds for that. Neighborhood commercial is a lighter use that allows for more residential type uses and less traditional general commercial uses. Think of it somewhat as a middle ground between general commercial and residential. It does make the homes that are in this area more compliant with the zoning. Right now, those homes that exist right there are in general commercial zoning, so they're non-legal conforming. So to change it to neighborhood commercial makes them more conforming to the zoning. Restricted things like a gas station, restaurants are not what would be allowed in neighborhood commercial, but then lighter commercial uses that might operate out of a home, something like a law office, a therapist, maybe your investment broker, something like that could work out of it. Those would be allowable uses. So some kind of a buffer, if you will, from the hard general commercial to the residential. Did receive 4 phone calls and 1 email about this, and none of them expressed any opposition to it. And then I did receive 3 return mails that were undeliverable. Again, the misprint in the original notice means that we must re-notify and take action in September, but it was recommended for approval by planning and zoning last week.
All right, thank you, Brian. We'll go ahead and open our public hearing at 7:01. Is there anybody that would like to speak on that? Hearing no one, we'll go ahead and close it at 7:01. And we will move on to the next agenda item, which on this one, discussion possible action regarding ordinance O-13-2024, an ordinance of the City of McGregor, Texas, changing zoning classification for a certain property located within the city limits of the City of McGregor to neighborhood commercial. On this particular agenda item, this is not going to be one of those things that is approved by default if we take no action.
No, we're just required to have people be able to speak to it, and although we're hearing it tonight, there may be somebody that wanted to come on Monday that couldn't come tonight, so I have to re-notify.
All right, so,
Brian, what is the buildings, that front 80 floors that neighborhood commercial would be like? Just kind of-
Yeah, this is,
Is that hidden talents on the far end? or-
over here, yes, ma'am. Yeah, here, this is Sonic, this is the repair shop, this is Church, or Bush's Chicken, I'm sorry. Cefco over here, this is your, one of your vape shops, this is the Subway, this is a church that's in here.
And it's zoned at what right now?
Right now, it's general commercial.
Going to a neighborhood commercial, would that help them, like, on property taxes?
It shouldn't affect,
Okay.
because the use hasn't changed. Yeah, they're still living there.
Okay.
all right, does anybody have any questions about this? We're going to be seeing it again next month.
That's right.
Okay, so we're taking no action on item 9 and moving on to number 10. Hold a public hearing on ordinance O-14-2024, an ordinance of the City of McGregor, Texas, amending Chapter 52 subdivisions, Articles 4 and 5 regarding sidewalk requirements.
This is a proposal requiring sidewalks as a standard for development in McGregor. If you'll notice that the ordinance is extremely long, there's a lot of stuff in there. It does allow exceptions for existing neighborhoods, infill lots, and large lot sizes. The majority of this is really aimed at new developments that would be coming to McGregor as a requirement. They must put either some kind of trail system or sidewalks in there. In the ordinance, it does say if you're building an infill lot or connecting a neighborhood and there's already existing sidewalks, you do have to connect unless the lots are a certain size or they're a certain distance away from an already existing sidewalk. Planning and zoning and city council, y'all can adjust these requirements for the project as y'all see fit. As far as the size of the sidewalks, the majority of sidewalk construction would be 4 foot. So that would be inside the neighborhood would be 4 foot. Connector streets would be 5 foot. Then you could do a 6 or an 8 or a 10, depending on the location, what you're next to. Y'all could decide what they needed to construct. An example of that would probably be when 11th Street gets from 317 to Johnson Drive, because there's a school and a park and a neighborhood. We'll probably want 10 foot wide there so that 2 strollers or 2 wheelchairs could pass each other and not go in the grass. So that would be an exception of going with a larger size sidewalk. But this is really more aimed at new development that's coming to McGregor, not trying to make people go back in an older part of town and put sidewalks where there never have been any.
All right, we'll go ahead and we'll open the public hearing at 7:06. I'm not seeing anybody that wants to talk about sidewalks.
I love it. I agree.
That's not to say that we wouldn't pursue, and Mukesh is here, so I'm not just saying this on his behalf, we wouldn't pursue grant funding to make a neighborhood more walkable in the future, but this is like if a new construction or a new subdivision comes in, to look at that and make sure it's done right.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:06. Move on to the next agenda item, which is discussion and possible action regarding ordinance O-14-2024, an ordinance of the City of McGregor, Texas, amending Chapter 52 subdivisions, Articles 4 and 5 regarding sidewalk requirements.
I have a question, Mayor.
Absolutely.
The existing sidewalks in neighborhoods that are damaged and dangerous, is that the expense of the homeowner, or is there any, or does the city do any of the repairs?
It should be the homeowners maintaining those, but we are looking at some possible options that would go and either fix those, or where there are areas there are none, we could put those in.
Part of town, there's
Mhm.
the sidewalks.
But the homeowner should take responsibility for those in front of their home.
And do they need permits for that, to dig up the old sidewalk to repair?
I would imagine so.
There's
Yeah.
specs. There's specs.
Yeah.
Put them in accordance, but we couldn't waive permit fee for those.
Yeah, if somebody is doing something to benefit the neighborhood,
But I think this is a good plan, and I think it's very needed for the safety of our citizens. And it's good to have this in place for subdivisions coming in, what people do.
yes, ma'am, yeah, we want to do it right going forward.
So are we saying now, like what she's asking about, so some of those sidewalks that are, that then we're requiring as the people that's in the citizen, they have to repair those sidewalks? And if it's sidewalk there that have someone that's involved, then originally, wasn't the original person that was when they put those sidewalks there. And now you're saying that they required to
If there's
fix
not,
those sidewalks?
if there's not sidewalks on either side, then they don't have to do one. But if there is a sidewalk, they have to connect to it.
No, I'm just saying, but repairing them for the, like she was.
Oh, repairing them? Yeah, the homeowner should be maintaining those just like they mow the grass that's adjacent to their property.
But if they already messed up, you know what I'm saying? If somebody buy a house and the
Mhm.
sidewalk is already broke up or down, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they're not the original homeowner when
Mhm.
those sidewalks are put in there. So then you're saying that they inquire that to have to do that?
Not,
That's what I'm asking.
yeah,
I'm
they,
saying
they
what
should be
you're saying.
maintaining them, but we're not going out there and policing those.
I think the code is required that,
Yeah.
that's fairly typical of towns.
I think someone asked about that because it was a bad sidewalk and he didn't know if it was the homeowner or the city, and that's why I asked.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing I'm asking. That's
Yeah.
what that's the way I'm looking at it, cause, you know, if somebody goes and buy a house, I'm pretty sure they're looking at buying a house, not
Not buying the sidewalk.
so much saying that they buying that, you know, they
Yeah.
feel like that might be, something that may not even wanna incur in trying to buy that house.
Yeah.
They say, now I gotta go fix that sidewalk out there, that's what I'm asking, is that's something that's actually required of the homeowner.
They should be
whoever buy that house and
Yeah.
then go in and fix it.
They should be maintaining them, but at the same time, we just don't have the manpower to go out there and police every single one of those.
Well, Andrew, I'm pretty sure if they did police the sidewalks, mine would be one of the first that gets looked at. It's really hard to edge around. But no, as far as ordinance go, that's, once again, new construction.
So when I build my house, I've gotta build a sidewalk.
If there's sidewalk adjacent, 4 foot, unless you live somewhere else.
And a garage.
Should've got your permit in before today.
All right.
So there's no liability on the city for some older person or somebody walking down the sidewalk that's all tore up or whatever, and they trip and break their leg or
Code is
whatever.
written, maintenance is on the homeowner. That's mine. It's a liability issue.
That's what I'm understanding. I don't understand what y'all telling me. All I'm saying is still, when somebody go in to buy a house, I'm pretty sure, I'm not saying everybody, I can't say that, they're not walking in and talking about buying the sidewalk. They're looking at the house and talking about buying this house. So that sidewalk is already there. Maybe, you know, they might have saw it and looked at it, but not thinking or realizing that they have to, you know, maintain or fix or whatever that sidewalk. So I'm saying if someone go, well, that sidewalk already been there and everything, and it is like that, where's the liability fall? That homeowner that just bought that house or the city? That's what I'm asking.
Their homeowner's insurance will cover it, but they need to fix it. And that's why that's been there forever, and I've had this conversation probably 50 times over the years, but as a general rule, most cities require the homeowner to maintain the sidewalk.
All right, any other questions? Well, I would entertain a motion for ordinance O-14-2024.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance O-14-2024.
I have a motion
I second.
and a second to approve ordinance O-14-2024. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. Moving on to item 12. Discussion and possible action authorizing the American Legion Post 273 McGregor to possess, sell, service alcoholic beverages at any of their community events held at the Exchange Event Center as permitted by TABC. I will go ahead and state that as an officer of the post and being on the TABC licensure, that I will be abstaining from this vote. So, is there any discussion on this?
This is something we talked about prior to it, so I make a motion to authorize the American Legion Post 273 where to possess, sell, service alcoholic beverages at any of their community events held at the Exchange Event Center as permitted by TABC.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed, nay. One abstention. All right. Moving on to number 13. Discussion and possible action regarding approval of ordinance O-10-2024, an ordinance of the City of McGregor, Texas, abandoning a portion of an undeveloped right-of-way originally designated as Avenue I in the plat of Old Town McGregor.
All right, this right-of-way is, I don't have it up there, it should be in your packet, the exhibit for the ordinance. It is an 80-foot wide right-of-way. We are proposing abandoning 30-foot of the right-of-way to make the corner lot where the old water plant was a little bit more marketable. The Avenue I essentially is where that driveway is at. If you're going west on 84 and you cross 317, that first driveway to the right, that's really where Avenue I is originally platted. So the remainder of that right-of-way would be a 50-foot wide right-of-way, which is wide enough for any anticipated future traffic that right-of-way may serve. It realistically can't go all the way to the park or across Harris Creek, so having 50-foot wide would be substantial enough for any vehicular traffic that would go that direction.
It will end up serving the facilities that will be built on the property that we're trying to sell. You've already approved the sale. They are in their due diligence period. Part of their due diligence period, they discovered this. We had always anticipated making this part of it anyway with every sale that we've had, or at least a portion of it. And so by doing this, we will change the deed, and you'll probably see closure sometime in early September.
All right, do we have any other questions on this? Do we understand what that piece of property is?
No, where is it again? I'm sorry.
It's, if you're on 84, the first driveway on the north side, that's west of 317, there's a business that uses part of it right now, but that's where the original I was platted to begin. It's never been used. So it's city right away next to a city piece of property, so in this instance, we're just abandoning it to ourselves.
Okay, any further questions? All right, this time I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve ordinance O-10-2024.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve ordinance O-10-2024. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Item number 14, discussion and possible action regarding approval of a 2-year extension of water purchase agreement between Central Bosque Water Supply Corporation and City of McGregor.
The water supply agreement with Central Bosque Water Supply Corporation is up in September, and this extends it as is for 2 years. We're in the process of visiting with them about certain CCNNs in their areas and ours, and as well as Waco's, and there'll be more to come on that, but this extends that contract so we have time to really discuss it and work out details. And they actually had their board meeting last night. They've already signed it, so if you're good with it, it's ready to go.
All right. Any questions? All right,
Central Bosque Water Supply Corporation in the city of McGregor.
Too many centrals.
I know what you mean.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the 2-year extension of water purchase between Central Bosque Water Supply Corporation and the City of McGregor. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. That motion carries. Item number 15, hold a public hearing on proposal to adopt tax rates of $0.530016 per $100 evaluation. This rate exceeds the non-new revenue tax rate and does not exceed the voter approval rollback tax rate. Carolyn, the floor is yours.
All right, well, Mayor, Council, as we discussed at the last meeting, there are 3 different tax rates that we have to choose from. One being the voter approval tax rate, which probably 4 or 5 years ago now was the rollback rate, for those that were familiar with that, which is at 53.530016. That's the rate it can be approved at without having a rollback. Then there's also the no new revenue tax rate, or the effective tax rate, and that rate is 0.462651, and changes our M&O from 27 cents to 21 cents, which is the M&O part of the tax rate is the maintenance and operations, and that is what runs our police department, our fire department, parks, all the general fund, different departments. And as you can see, if we did the no new revenue, it's $848,000 less than what we would normally have. So, and then we have the de minimis rate, which the de minimis rate is what the legislature enacted to allow cities of less than 30,000 to raise an additional 50,000, or excuse me, 500,000. In our case, it's like 420-some thousand because it's a maximum in ad valorem taxes. But that would increase your tax rate to 0.581414. So at the last meeting, y'all directed me to set the budget using the 0.530016, which is the voter approval rate. And so that's what, coming up later, the budget is based on.
All right, we're going to go ahead and open the public hearing at 7:21. Is there anybody here to speak on that, or do we have any questions for Carolyn?
Yeah, I got a question. So it appears as though this far right column here is the proposed.
Sir, could you identify yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Matthew Patterson. I'm a resident of the city of McGregor.
Thank you.
So please help me understand this column over here to the right, far right, third column. That is your proposed?
The 0.53, or you're talking about the
0.543591?
No, that is that was what it was in this year. That's the current year. If you go down where it's just below that, it says 0.530016. That's our proposed rate. And that rate is 27.8 cents for M&O and 25 cents for INS, which is your debt service payment. And so the total is 530016.
And out of curiosity, what is the rationale for increasing this, just so that way I can understand a little bit better?
Increasing it?
Or excuse me.
It's decreasing.
Oh, shoot. Oh, disregard.
All right, does anybody else have any questions? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:23. Thank you, Carolyn. We'll go ahead and move on to the next agenda item, which is hold a public hearing on proposed budget for fiscal year 2024-2025.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all have a new budget in front of you. From the last one, it's got a lot more stuff in it than the other one, the preliminary did. There was a change, and when I get to the right document here, sorry. If you'll remember on our budget assumptions, I had proposed in the preliminary a 10% increase in healthcare. Well, it came in at 20%. They are negotiating, our brokers are, and they're also looking at other potential providers. So what this budget has is 15% increase, because that's where we think we'll come in at instead of at 20. We'll let you know once we know for sure.
When do you think you may know that?
Angie, you had an answer for that one?
I'm sorry.
He said, when do you think we would know?
They're working on it. I just got an email right before I came in here.
Yeah.
And they're still putting it out there and getting information back in.
Who does
We
the
have
city-
to know before the first payroll in September.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is a couple of weeks
Yeah, we're supposed to
leeway
be
is all we
doing
have.
open enrollment at the end of August, so we have to have an answer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because our open enrollment isn't until October.
Yeah, it's,
We
Yeah.
do it at the end of
It's
August
effective.
because we deduct from your paycheck whatever your premiums are in September to pay for October, because it's due October 1. So we've
Okay.
collected the money to pay the October 1 premium.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
And so that's why we have it in August, so we have time to get all the payroll changed for the September
I seem to
payroll.
remember this was an issue last year. Is this an issue?
It always is with the insurance.
I mean, is there any way they could disconnect the timing? I mean, or like, you know, because it seems like it's gonna
Yeah,
be.
we start
It's not just
asking
our
them.
budget, it's a lot of budgets that are being
Yeah.
discussed throughout the state of Texas.
We start requesting the info in around May and June, and yeah, and
if
we,
not before.
and keep pinging on them, trying to get the info to us, because, so that we can have it.
Okay.
They've got they've always emailed us, it's always gotten it to us before we have to actually.
Who
Yeah.
do we currently have?
Okay, hold on just a second. In the interest of staying legal, we're gonna go ahead and open the public hearing at 7:26.
Okay.
Now, feel free to ask.
Are you asking who is the provider? United Healthcare is who we currently have for health.
Okay. Yeah, they've gone up.
Yeah, significantly. So,
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine, but that is
That's what
truly-
struck me. I just had a quick question
Well,
and
really,
Yeah.
turned into.
It would fall under 17 discussion about
that, and then I deferred a mower to help offset some of the costs of the insurance. But of course, y'all have contingency, and you're always
I
welcome to.
apologize for interrupting you.
No, you're
Just
fine.
Please,
No, you're,
keep going.
that's right.
Okay, does anybody in the audience want to speak on this? We'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:26. And we're going to move on to discussion and possible action relating to the adoption of the proposed budget for fiscal year 2024-2025. Now, what do you got?
Oh, okay. Oh, so, because you're not voting on it, right?
No, if you
Okay.
want to continue your presentation, please do so.
Oh, we can do that. It's, like I said, it's basically what y'all saw last time. Well, I can go back here, because for the people that weren't here. And then our budget assumptions that we, as I stated, increased the healthcare 15%. A 5% COLA was budgeted for October 1, 24 for all employees. A contribution, our TMRS, which is our retirement contribution rate, has been decreased from 13.75 to 12.96. That is strictly on the city side. The employees' rate is still 7%. It's just when people leave and leave their money in, it reduces how much we have to pay in to match it 2-for-1. The city participating amount of $42,000 has been included for the text dot signalization project. The third year of the tornado siren program is included. And again, the city manager, fleet mechanic, events manager, finance director, and assistant finance director personnel costs have been allocated between funds. An additional, we added an additional market increase of 5% for the patrol officers to the police department. That's to help bring them up to market. And we increased water and wastewater fees 5% to help offset the wholesale rate increases. Those are kind of prorated. They're not, it didn't hit all at one time.
The city of Waco increased our animal shelter costs from $65,000 annually to $105,000.
I have a meeting with all of them that are members of that, and Ryan Holt, who's over it for the city, the 30th. Be interesting to see what we learn there. But it's, as I told you before, it's going to have to do with the severing of the relationship with the Humane Society. So I'll report back to you on that in September.
And then our McLennan County Tax Office support has increased $27,500 from last year. And as we discussed before, they built a building, and it's also a portion of whatever our tax rate, our total taxes. It's all a percentage. Okay, and then the next page, you have your budget summary, which is the different funds and what their revenues are and expenditures. And if you get to the bottom, you see there's where it says net revenue or loss, they're all zeros with the exception of the court, and that's because we take in funds there that are specific to certain things, and we don't have any spending on that right now. So that's what that is. And then the $3 million difference in the industrial park, that's where we created those contingencies where we moved the money between funds. So everything's good there. And then our all funds summary just is giving you a glimpse, if you would. That's kind of new. We didn't have that in prior years, showing that this is what it is for the different funds. So you can see each one as a whole instead of each individual. Then our combined revenues for all funds. You'll see charges for services is 26%. Of our overall budget, and property taxes are 20%. So you just kind of get an idea of where all the money's, what category all the money is coming in from. And then when we look at the expenditures by category in all the combined funds, you'll see that personnel costs are 26%. Our capital outlay is, can't read it, sorry. Contracted services is 20%, and your maintenance is 3%. So again, you just kind of get a glimpse of everything added together. And then we already discussed the tax rates. Then we have direct and overlapping property tax rate. That gives you a snapshot of what we are compared to the school, Midway School, McLennan County, and McLennan Community College.
Can I ask another quick question?
Sure.
It was back on the previous slide.
Uh-huh.
The city attorney, is that considered a personnel service or a contracted service?
Yeah.
Contracted, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then there was our direct and overlapping, and then our assessed value for the last 10 years. You can see where our values have gone up. And this year they're $822 million, you know, where last year they were $560. So you can see the growth is, or they were actually 600, sorry, but they're 822 now. So still, it's gone up quite a bit. The next page is our debt broken down for the different debt payments that we make on the different bonds that we have for a total of $2 million. And then when you look at the next slide, that's our total debt service. So that includes what the water and other funds pay, as well as the other one was our INS debt, our general fund debt. Then you look at general fund revenue by source. This one's a little bit hard to read, but the color of the title goes with the color of the wedge, and that's was kind of different and made it when they're real together. Sometimes it's hard to distinguish what is what. And you can see that our franchise taxes are at 6%, permit fees are at 4%, our land lease rental is at 12%. When I came here, it was 25%. So we've gotten different revenues and grown. That's a good thing. Sale of assets is 0. Let's see. And then our property taxes are 29%. Then when you get to the general fund expenditures by department, police, of course, is our largest department. Streets department is 13% of the budget. City council is 10%, but that's only because the contingency is in your budget. Without that, you'd be much smaller. Parks is at 12%. So that's your major pieces. Non-departmental is 13%, and that includes like the city attorney, City of Waco for the, no, take that back. City of Waco for the, your tax department and your appraisal district. We all, we have to pay our fair share. It's everything that's kind of, or it's something that's shared by everybody and it's not one department's expense. Our next is our general fund requested and capital outlay. And you can see that $457,000 made it into the budget as capital outlay. And then on the far right column, those are items that were deferred.
With the contingency fund you have, you'll be looking at those deferred items through the year. We'll probably bring some forward every month for the first quarter.
And then the next slide is your available contingencies by fund. So you can see how much is left as contingency in each fund. You have 2.6 in contingency. Then the utility fund, you can see there that they have 6.045 in revenues. And with the transfer out and the expenditures, those equal, so that's why it's a zero, net zero. The administration's budget is 1.59. The water production is 2.7. Utility maintenance is at just over $1 million, and the wastewater treatment plan is at just under 600. And then their capital, the utility department, airport, cemetery, and park development fund capital requests are the next slide. And you will see that there were some things deferred there as well, but they have $750,000 in capital requests that were approved. And then that total, that 2.4 million, that's general fund and utility fund, all the funds added together for that. Then you have utility fund expenses by category. And again, you can see where contracted services is their most at 44%. Personnel costs are at 22%. And the debt capital outlay is at 17%. So that's their major hits. The airport, we have revenue at 512, and their expenses are 512 when you include the transfer out that goes to the general fund for admin services. So they're doing good. Everything is going up in the airport. And let me see, check something right quick. Yeah, we don't know yet for the following year what our grant match is. This year it's a 90-10 up to 100,000. So we've been trying to get our $100,000 of dollars spent of what's we're able to be reimbursed from. But last time I talked with Barry, they still had, TxDOT had not yet decided what this following grant. Our year is up with them August 31st, so we should know something soon as far as what it would be next year. The cemetery is balanced at $75,000 in expenditures. We're still adding fence, that's their capital, as you are seeing. And then we have a recap of all debt, which shows principal and interest of all the debt we have that is currently at $45 million. And then part of the budget is also the fee schedule. Do we have a separate line for that, Angie?
The fee schedule on this?
Yeah, no, it's just part, okay. Well, let me show you then. As part of the budget every year, we include the investment policy and the fee schedule. I will tell you the investment policy, there's no changes. And I researched that to make sure there hadn't been, and there's not any for this year. So ours is not changing. It's just the same as last year's. We're just changing the date and readopting. Now on the fee schedule, we do have some changes. On the fire hydrant deposit, it's $1,200. It's costing us about $1,800 to replace one. So what we've changed it, we're leaving it at $1,200, but we're saying any damage is not covered by the deposit is at cost. So the people will keep their deposit plus bill them for any, if it's in excess, or if they lose it, whatever. Then the usage per gallon is going from 9.72 to 11.22. And the demand fee for wastewater rates is at 42, no, we got a typo. Lee, what's 42.56 times 1.05?
It's 44.69.
Hold on. I want to make sure, where's the fee schedule? In this copy? Okay, I'm gonna have to check that. One of those two numbers is wrong. So whatever it is, it's gonna be the current rate times 1.05. So that might be 44, what'd you say, 44?
44.69.
Okay, because I'm assuming that's the one that's wrong. And then the rate per thousand is going from 4.25 to 4.46. And the same, you'll just see the 4.46, the demand fee plus 4.46 per thousand. Then on the water rates inside the city, you can see it's going from 38.50 to 40.43. Outside from 47.81 to 50.20, all the way down. It's all 5%. Then the volumetric rates go from 4.38 to 4.60, and 5.28 to 5.54. Again, all the way down, it's 5%. The industrial park is going from 10.45 to 10.97 per thousand, and if it's over 1 million gallons, over 3 million gallons rather, it goes from 5.45 to 5.73. Our water taps, now that's a little different, and they went up a little more than 5% because of the cost of the materials. So it's going from 500 to 550, and from 550 to 600. And the rest are all at cost. And the same thing with water taps. We've changed those all to be at cost because I was told today for the 3-inch, it says it's 14.2. Just the cost of the vault that we just purchased was over $14,000. So it's at the point we call, they won't even give us a quote till the property comes in or the materials come in because they don't know. It's so volatile and changing. So that's what we did that. So then for the next one, we did airport. And again, it's just a $10 increase for the T-hangers across the board. So every size just went up $10 for them. And so I guess tomorrow night we'll have the ordinance with all of those. If y'all got to tell me if that's what you want to do, then I'll change that. Because right now what's in your packet is what it is today. Because I didn't want to assume that you were going to vote for it. I left it alone until you saw the new changes.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Carolyn? We've been presented this before. There's been some slight changes in there. But overall, we're still looking at pretty much the same document.
You know, in the budget, any of those, we spoke on the last But any of those, vehicles that they talking about, I guess auction off or whatever, so how many of them we actually replacing? You know, the one that's over there in the old, you know, by the old.
By the Legion.
Yeah, by the Legion. Cause remember I was asking about that truck that would pick up the tree stuff with, and you know, they were saying they was getting rid of it, and then there's a couple of, I guess, trucks, car, van, whatever they call them. So, are any of those being replaced, or they just
Well, the
been
old-
wore out and they auction them off?
The old
Whatever.
car you're talking about, the older van, the Armada is what it is. That was a vehicle that the prison used when they were bringing the girls back and forth. It was I think one that we, what's the word, chief? With a seizure. That was one we seized. And so that one's one of the ones we're getting rid of because they're not coming anymore, and it's just, it's seen its finer days. The other, I know that the one that was at the apartments and then Barry drove for a while, the Explorer? Or, it's not on the list? Because I know we bought him a vehicle, so he quit driving that one, is what I was getting at. We kind of,
Got a couple F-150s and a Dodge Ram and a gravel truck.
the two F-150s are like 2009s.
One of them's a wreck.
It's wrecked, and one of them's been wrecked. And I know one of the police cars was, being taken out of service. Of course, we are buying two new police cars in this budget. We had requested 3 originally, but we had to defer one. So it's being replaced. And so.
But none of those in that lot already been replaced? It's
Yeah,
none-
no, because there's a police car we're auctioning off and we're buying 2 more new ones. So that one is being a new one, replacing it. And then like I said, we got Barry a truck. And who's driving the two? You said one of the F-150s is wrecked.
That was the one lot had.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that one, the insurance paid, and Lot has already purchased a new truck to replace it. It's already been replaced. Yeah, pretty much if we lose one, we get one. I mean, because they have to have them. So, it may take us a little bit longer to get rid of the old. Because some of I think on that one, Lot had wanted to keep it for a while for parts, to try and get some of the parts.
All right. Anybody else? All right, we will be hearing this again,
Yes, sir.
so.
You want to do the financial? Come on,
Sure.
I'm dry.
To take no action or adoption of the budget until tomorrow or August 15th.
All right, we have a motion to take no action
Oh, yeah, it's in here.
on adoption of the budget,
Sorry, I second.
and we have a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. That motion carries. We will not be taking any action on the adoption of the budget until tomorrow. Moving on to 18, because Carolyn has not had a tough time at the podium. Receive financials as of June 30th, 2024, and quarterly investment report.
Okay, and Lee may take over here in a minute for me. But June, this is the financials for June, and that represents 75% of the year. And as I'll remind you, this is just comparing budget to actual, it's not. So, general fund was a little right on target really for revenues, a little under for expenditures. The utility fund was close and below. The exchange was low and high, but again, that's just budget. It's not really, it doesn't really matter as much as the rest of it. The airport is at 104 and 54. The next slide is what I really wanted to get to tell you As far as the exchange goes, when we built it, we knew that it was really for the citizens, and we knew it was never going to be a moneymaker. It can't be a moneymaker, actually, but we wanted to show you what it does do. The exchange gets 83% of their income from rentals. And if you look at the Waco Convention Center, they get 26%. The Carlene Bride Arboretum gets 39%. Bellmead Civic Center only gets 15%. And the Gatesville Civic Center gets 21%. So the exchange is way outperforming other entities that are doing basically the same thing as what we're doing. So I just wanted to brag.
No, that's.
Cassie's doing great.
Can't argue with those numbers.
No,
That's
I mean,
pretty-
it's never, like we said, we didn't expect it to make money, and it's holding its own a lot better than what we anticipated, so.
That's great.
So, okay, you wanna do it now? Sure, yeah. I haven't seen him in action, I wanna see.
Well, I bet she's also glad that I'm here so she can catch her breath. She's been up here for a little while. But in the next slides, we just, there's a little bit of a visual representation of the revenues and expenditures for funds compared to last year. We'll see that net cash flow for the general fund is $602.6 thousand lower than the previous year. Revenue is down $130.7 thousand. Expenditures are up $471.9 thousand compared to last year. Breaking that down, the revenue decrease is due to lower building permit fees, which is sort of the same as what we saw last month, compared to last year in May. But that amount is offset primarily by a monthly transfer of personnel charges as budgeted and as was just talked about. The expenditure increases are primarily due to an increase in personnel charges of $397.9 thousand, and then some other charges, such as the $100,000 subsidy that we talked about last month too for the Coriel EMS agreement. Okay, so then moving on to the next, okay. For the exchange net cash flows are down $56.2 thousand as compared to the same period last year. Revenues are down $19.2 thousand and expenses are up $37 thousand. Building maintenance is up $19.5 thousand. And other charges are up $19.6 thousand. And those numbers, though they may have changed a little bit, are kind of like what we've seen last year, that the other charges or last month, that the other charges being increased is primarily due to the eclipse and the eclipse events that occurred in April of this year. But the remaining difference between that, there's an offset because there's a decrease in contracted services in the exchange fund. Okay, moving on to the next fund, we've got the airport fund. So airport net cash flows are up $27.2 thousand compared to the same time last year. Revenues are up $83.8 thousand and expenses are up $56.6 thousand. Revenue increases of that $83.8 thousand primarily. Most of that is $51.2 thousand in grant revenues that we get from a reimbursement of a runway grant. There's also $18.5 thousand of an increase just in hangar rent alone, with the remainder of the increase in other miscellaneous income like interest. The expenditure increases include personnel charges, $19.1 thousand, and capital outlay of $26.7 thousand, with the remainder of that increase in building maintenance. All right, and so this chart just shows what we've sort of explained in those graphs. It shows more funds, and it shows it in a table format. So we've got the general fund, we've got the exchange and the airport, but we also have Parks Development, utility, and the cemetery fund. And that's in your packet if y'all want to take a look at that or have any questions. The next one is just a cash flow report. We see that the total cash from the same period last year is increased, what is that, 3.1 million? I think we're going to break down that increase in the next slide. But it has increased. This is just showing the breakdown of the increase. But if we could go to the next slide. So it says that the net cash in the bank is 3.1 million more than the same period last year. This sort of breaks it down into why that increase occurred. We see that our operating accounts are up 2.3 million. Our pooled cash is up 143,000. Grants are up 581.1 thousand. Capital projects are down 76.3 thousand. And debt services is up 175.5 thousand compared to June, that should be June 2023, compared to the same period last year. So if we could go to the next slide, this is just a table of the sales tax revenue by year. We can see through that trend line that it's just increasing each year compared to the same period. Also, since it's the end of the quarter, or was the end of the quarter in June, we have our investment report up here too. That's also in the packet. We've got the, let's see, so the changes from last quarter is decreased, is at 5.7 million just about. And then just below that, we've got our interest allocation. Comparatively to quarters, it's relatively the same, 366,000. I think this is somewhat the same as the quarterly report received in the last quarters. The interest is sort of in the same area. The portfolio percentage total between managed pools and the bank is relatively the same percent. But yeah, just moving down a little bit further in those bullet points, just want to hash those out. The cash and investments is at 31.4 million. The change in cash was that number is a little bit more readable, about 5.7 million decrease from the prior quarter. The interest earned in this quarter was 366,000, bringing the total fiscal year to date interest earned at about 1,148,000. I guess, yeah, that's in the packet. If y'all have any questions over that, feel free to let us know. And I think that does it for the report. Are there any questions that y'all would have for me, or probably for Carolyn?
I have one. Back
Yes.
on this page for the general fund for 2024. So where we got here, it's saying the revenue decrease is due to lower billing permits. So we're getting less people billing, because, I mean, you know, everywhere I'm looking. So.
Oh, you're saying the general fund revenues are they're right on target with the
General fund.
budget?
Well, I say, you know what I'm saying, well, I say the revenue decrease is due to lower billing permits.
Yes, because
With
if
billing fees, so I'm saying that.
if you'll recall, we had quite a high permits because of Knox permits. They were passed through, but they still hit our bank account as a revenue. And so that's why it's down, because we're not processing, what was it, $500,000, whatever, of building permits. We're still processing a lot, but just not as much as we
I
did
was
last
thinking,
year.
we've been building a lot of houses
Yeah.
and stuff, you see them all over, you know, that's why we're one of them.
But that was some
I see
pretty
what-
big
yeah,
ticket
yeah.
items. Sorry, I didn't know you would know the history.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have known.
You'll have the same thing when, Project Pure buys their permit. It'll be pretty high, but it won't be another one after that. Well, maybe.
All right, do we have any other questions? All right, hearing none, thank you, Carolyn, thank you, Lee.
Thank y'all.
Mhm, Thank you.
All right, we've already visited agenda item 19. We'll go ahead and on to 20. Discussion regarding appointments to city boards and commissions with appointments to be made at regular council meetings to be held on September 9th, 2024. Included in your packet is a list of all the commissions and boards and expiring terms. I assume Angela is going to be putting these in the newspaper to let everybody know that
That is in this week's newspaper.
this is in this week's newspaper. Okay, I haven't seen it yet.
Staff is gonna be visiting with the folks they have on the board, and they'll be letting you know if they wanna continue or not. And there's nothing wrong with you folks drafting people that you would like to have on the board yourselves. That would probably make it work quicker anyway. But typically, you don't get very many off the street out of the newspaper, but occasionally you will.
You know, one thing I saw where it was saying, I think about, what was it? What did you say, was it email or whatever, but it's still, we're doing exact, I mean, that's not, we didn't go away from for anyone that wanted to be on boards or submitting a letter, though.
Correct.
We haven't took that out.
No, no,
'Cause I
they'll
was
be,
seeing where, I think, where did I see that at, you know, saying,
If they want to, they still have to send the letter to me if they want to stay on the board.
letter, email, or text.
yeah, I was, but I think where I saw, was just saying about an email, just not,
About
it didn't
what?
mention, it just said about doing an email or something, but not for the letter. I can't, where I read that at.
Yeah, the ones that's true. I can put, what I can do is put,
No, I'm just saying, but y'all still have the letter, that's all.
Oh,
I'm saying.
yes,
You can
yes,
still-
yes.
Yeah, yeah. We might ask that, and it was email. But
And I can
it might be,
delete
it might be
that
some,
for
of
next
it might be some of the people on the board that don't do it.
You're right.
You see what I'm saying? That's all I, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's a lot of us that try not to write letters.
Huh?
I said there's a lot of us that try not to write letters.
No, I'm not saying that not preferred to, but I was just wondering, because that's what the original way we were doing it.
Right.
So we're not taking that option out, that thing off and just having it where, you know, come up,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I have
where
some
it-
that do the letters and bring them to me. Has some, we have one that had us type the letter out and sign it. So we can take all that.
Yeah, okay, that's all I was being sure of, you know.
Yeah, he should,
Be on here.
he should be listed on there.
Yeah, but he's not.
but
Yeah.
is it an expired term?
Yes, he is serving your unexpired term.
Okay, so he'd go through
Is that your letter to your term?
2025.
Yes. All right.
Did I get that one on?
No.
Okay.
All right, does anybody have anything to add to that? Be sure to look it over. If you know anybody that might be good in one of those boards or commissions, please bring it up to them and see if they might be interested. Okay, as discussed earlier, we will be having a special called meeting tomorrow, even 6:30, August 15th, 2024, right here for the final adoption of the budget and tax rate. Next item, announcements from the city manager.
I have a very significant announcement. The city judge for the city of McGregor, Jim Gailey, is retiring effective September the 11th. We will schedule, 26 years. He came in about the time that Jimmy and Paul and Andrew came in. He's a great guy. He hates it, but it's his time as far as he's concerned. So we will have an executive session on the September 9th meeting, so you folks can decide how you want to handle that, because that is a council appointment. And it's, I'm not able, we'll bring all the information on what's budgeted, how much they make, how often they meet, all that stuff. It's not a very rigorous appointment, but it is a very important appointment. And that's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. Do we have anything from the council?
I have a couple of things. I saw a note from Lauren Downey. She's so today, oh, by the way, today was the first day of school, right?
Yeah.
So everybody be careful. Evidently over in the pickup line, it must have been this afternoon, like 3:30, whatever time they picked them up. But she said it seemed like on Johnson, there was kind of like a blind area. She was just wanting people to kind of, somebody to check that out and see if there's, if what she was experiencing. She said blind area around the cars on the side of the road. So I guess cars were lined up along the side of the road, but she said it's hard to see around those cars.
We'll check it out.
Yeah.
Johnson drive up?
Yeah, that's what she said. And so I told her I'd mention something about it. Since the right people were going to be here. And then also, we had a good conversation about the sidewalks. It reminded me to ask about curbing, because there are some houses that don't have curbs. And, when we get a deluge like we had not too long ago, a lot of the, dirt gets washed out into the road, and it causes some issues with drainage. When we pave these roads, are we doing any type of curbing?
We will split the cost of curb and gutter 50-50
With the homeowners?
We've had some success at that. Nearly everybody's paid like they should. We've got a couple we gotta go.
Is it pretty expensive? I don't know.
It's pretty expensive. The thing is, you can't just do it in the middle of the street. It has to connect the curb and gutter somewhere else.
Yeah.
Either upstream and then specifically downstream.
Yeah.
You just do it in the middle of the street, it causes a bigger problem.
Okay.
But,
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Anywhere we can, we try to encourage that, even when we're not approached about it. If we're paving a road that we see that might happen, we'll approach them.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, it's not widespread, but there are places where it's like, I wonder why there's no curb there, and there's one literally on the other side of the street or all the way down.
It's more pervasive than you think.
Oh, is it? I guess I just.
We fix what we can, and we encourage folks to participate.
And then you get word that happened too, where several people on that street, on that block right in there, do that and go ahead with the city. Then you got a whole half another section that's not curbed, so it kind of, it's helpful in a way, but then it kind of offsets for the purpose of even doing the curb.
That's why we're trying to make sure it ties in, but when one side does it, the other side doesn't, it doesn't look as good, it doesn't work as well.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, we'll go ahead and adjourn at 8:08.